KMOX. 67 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Hey, it's Jeff at Sachs Financial. Over the last 15 years, we've been able to help our clients focus on the fundamentals and tune out the daily grind by putting a great retirement plan in place. If you don't have one, find out how to get started at retiresafestl.com.
This is the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Baker pops it up. First base side, foul territory. Steer has it, and this ball game has come to an end. Baker fouls out, and the Reds earned a split in this series, winning on Monday. Taking today's game, the Cardinals won the doubleheader yesterday. The final today, 9-1.
And so the Cardinals do come back home for a series against the Mets that starts tonight at Busch Stadium. Welcome into the Gashouse Gang. It is Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, and Chris Ranji with you for the next hour. Scott Terry, a former Cardinal, is going to join the show. That's coming up at 12:30. The phone number, if you would like to text us, if you have comments, thoughts, questions about the Cardinals, about the Blues too, because they play Game 6 tonight. It is a huge game, a must-win, in fact. So let us know what you think. 314-436-7900 to call or text, and you could drop us a voice message on the Odyssey app. So, guys, a series split in Cincinnati, and it's a bit of an improvement because the Cardinals had, I guess they doubled their win total on the road by winning those two games in the doubleheader. And I know we've talked about this, why there had been so many issues with them not winning ball games on the road. Claibs, is there anything to it, or is it just it's the first month of the season and that's what's happened? They played good teams, whatever the case may be.
I think that's it more than anything else. First month of the season, schedule as far as opponents, it was pretty good as far as the teams you're playing. And I think over time, it'll balance out. I mean, I don't see this team saying, oh, we're going on the road. We can't. That's not the team this is. So I think we have the month of April behind us. I think we'll see more consistent weather on the good side, and I think we'll see better play by the Cardinals on the road.
You know, this is one of the things that's challenging about covering baseball in the first month of the season because the sample size is so small. Stuff doesn't really mean anything, but it's all we have to talk about. You know, Cardinals fans love the team and want to talk about what's going on. So in the first month of the season, if they're not playing well on the road, well, everybody's going to talk about that. Oliver Marmol has mentioned multiple times how, you know, previously last year they couldn't win a first game of the series, and that's all we talked about. And then eventually they started winning first game of the series. So I'm not mad at Cardinal fans and the media and everybody about talking about the whole they're not winning on the road thing because it's all there is to talk about. But if we take a step back and really look at it, it just doesn't mean a whole lot in the first month of the year.
Yeah, and this is I think going into the season, we talked about the transitional year that this was supposed to be, and that's sort of what the Cardinals even said because they reduced payroll. They were going to give a lot of opportunity to younger players. You still have that feeling going into the year, especially knowing the division you're in, that, hey, maybe you could win this anyway. And so your expectation for that first month is to play good baseball. And it's hard to not be disappointed. It's hard to not be disappointed when you see him several games under 500 already.
I think it's just part of the season. Obviously, you want them to do well. You think you can win every game. That's not going to happen. There's more baseball in front of you than there is behind you at this point. It would be different if this team was getting blown out or making the same mistake over and over. For the most part, they've been in virtually every game. Maybe there's 4, maybe 5 games that maybe, you know, the run total got up a little bit. But I think for the most part, they've been competitive. And as long as they stay competitive, they're going to win their share of games.
Yeah, I think Claibs is right. And to Claibs' point, they've been right there in every single game. Now, the other side of it is the bullpen has really struggled this year. And that was supposed to be an area of strength for this team. And so far it has not been. And when you've got offensively, even though it's been inconsistent and it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, the overall offensive numbers for this club are very good. If what the offensive numbers are right now, if that's what there are at the end of 162 games, I think we can all be pretty happy with who this club is offensively. And I would assume at some point it's going to stabilize out a little bit where it's not so all or nothing, where they're a little bit more consistent moving forward. So the fact that offensively, the problem from last year, starting pitching has been very good. The fact that the bullpen has let you down so much in the first month of the season, you can easily lament the fact that, you know what, you look at the record and they're fine. I'm not worried about the record. They're not buried in the division, anything like that yet. They're below 500. I get that a lot of teams, there are teams that are below 500 in the first 2 months of the season that are playoff teams. Like that's not something to worry about. But I do think it's fair to lament the fact that because the bullpen has not been especially good early on in the season, there are some wins that have been left on the table, and you just hope at the end of the season those wins don't end up mattering too much.
Yeah, and we're talking about also, we were a moment ago, scoring runs, and the offense has done that this year overall. And Bill, who was watching on YouTube, brings up this point that over the last 4 games, they scored 14 runs in 4 innings, then they scored 3 in the other 32. And I have heard other Cardinals fans concerned about that, yeah, they've got a high run total, but it doesn't seem like they're spreading those runs out evenly, that they'll have big blowout games, but then they have a lot of games where they score 1 or nothing, probably too many of those. How much of that should we be concerned about?
I'm not.
For what reason?
Because it's part of a season. You're going to have stretches where you're going to score runs in bunches, and then you're going to have moments where it's going to be hard to scratch 2 hits together. It comes with the season. So I'm not concerned.
Yeah. I had Bernie Miklasz on Sports Open Line last night, and I'm going to mess up the statistic because he had it right on, and I don't remember exactly what he said. But basically, Ron, I kind of said the same thing that you're saying, that it feels like it's all or nothing. It feels like it's hit or miss, that sort of thing. And the stat that Bill gave is correct. And a lot of that is connected, obviously, to in the doubleheader. They scored the 5 runs in the 9th inning of the first game, and then they scored the 9 runs in the first 3 innings of the next game. So that's where that number certainly comes from. But actually, if you compare the Cardinals to the rest of Major League Baseball and see how many times they have scored 3 or less runs in a game, they're still in perfectly fine shape. Like that's not an area of concern when you compare it to the rest of Major League Baseball. And I forget the exact numbers that Bernie gave me last night, but it was a really good thing because it actually surprised me, because on the surface level, it does feel like that this is a team that is either scoring a ton of runs or scoring not very many runs. And while it feels that way, especially compared to the rest of Major League Baseball, the Cardinals are not doing that really more than anybody else. In fact, they're one of the better teams in baseball in terms of limiting times where they score 3 runs or less in a game.
And a lot of this is happening, or had been happening, without Wilson Contreras. I mean, he's been playing, but not until recently did he actually start to swing the bat better. How much different is the offense if he is his old self, if he's the typical Wilson Contreras? Can we expect it to improve exponentially, a little bit, or about the same as it is, what we've seen so far?
I think it'll improve, but I think one of the things we have to take into account, I think it's really hard to have 9 guys all clicking at the same time. So you're going to have some guys who can carry you for a week. You're going to have some other guys who are going to get cold for a week. But I think if you can get 5 to 6 guys going at the same time and the other guys are scratching, I think you can be really competitive in that situation. But with regard to Wilson, because of where he hits in the order, and he can hit in a couple of different spots, and he provides power, and he can bash a little bit, he's a guy that's going to be important to the lineup. And now if you can get Arenado moving in that direction, and all of a sudden you have the domino effect taking place where you have 5, 6, maybe 7 guys all going at the same time. And then all of a sudden your offense looks better. You're going to score more runs, obviously. And, the more you score, the more you win.
And not to jump the gun, but Ivan Herrera is going to be back at some point in the relatively near future. He hit a home run yesterday for Memphis. He is supposed to catch today at Memphis. So if you put Herrera back into the lineup, I don't know if we're going to see the 800 plus OPS out of him that we were seeing in his first 7 games, but we all know that he is a plus bat that you can put in the middle of the order. Wilson Contreras is going to be fine. We've seen him be better over the last 10 days or so. The power hasn't quite come along the way that you'd like. He's hit a few home runs, but there's more there from Contreras. Anybody who's watched him in his career knows that he can do more. I almost look at it as a benefit, though, in the sense that Claves is right. Like you try to get as many guys going strong at one time as possible. And one of the problems with the Cardinals, especially last year offensively, that nobody would be going, that it was just 1 through 9. It was really a struggle for this team. So the fact that Brendan Donovan's having the year that he's having, Lars Nootbaar is having the year that he's having, Victor Scott II is obviously contributing up and down. Mason Wynn's been swinging a really hot bat here over the last week or so, and it's been fun to see him move up in the order and the way that he's been able to respond to that. This is a team, again, that from an overall statistical standpoint is one of the better offensive clubs in all of Major League Baseball, and they're doing it without Wilson Contreras being that guy. So they've been able to weather that storm. The last thing that you would want, is for, as goes Contreras, as goes the team. So if Contreras is struggling the first month, then all of a sudden the offense doesn't look good, then they could be in a really tough spot right now. Instead, other guys have been able to perform.
Yeah, the thing with Herrera coming back, I'm going to be really interested to see how much that affects them and if he could sort of pick up where he was before, because of all the spots in the order, the DH spot has been, there really hasn't been much coming from that spot offensively. And a lot of that is Nolan Gorman, who's been struggling. But man, if you get him back in that area, maybe you have a decent improvement in the offense.
Yeah, one of the things with Herrera coming back, we talk about his offense, and it looks like maybe he'll DH obviously more than catch, because you have to remember also catching position, especially on this team. What Pages has done has been very good in handling the staff. And you don't want to take him out of the lineup because of what he can do behind the plate. And he always seems to find a way to get a hit and get on base as well. I mean, now, is he going to hit as well as Contreras? I don't know. But I know this. I think he's been more of an asset than a hindrance.
Mike Claiborne? Go ahead, Matt, go ahead. Before we get
the
break.
Just to finish that real quick, I think when you look at that DH spot and you're not getting much production, and a lot of that is connected to Nolan Gorman and Alec Burleson, and they're trying to give Gorman that runway. But when Herrera gets back, if you've got the opportunity to DH him a lot, and look, that may be what it looks like long term. Jimmy Crooks is not that far away. And if they want to have a roster that includes Pedro Pages, Jimmy Crooks, and Ivan Herrera, that probably means Herrera is going to have to do a lot of DHing.
Got Matt Pauley, Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji. Scott Terry is going to join the show at 12:30. The former Cardinal will talk with us, and we want to hear from you. So if you have comments or questions as we talk about the Cardinals through month 1 of their regular season, we're now into the early part of May. Tell us how you're feeling about where the team is right now. 314-436-7900 to call or text, and you can drop a voice message from the Odyssey app. It is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM, KMOX, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I think we became the largest injury firm in the world, and it's not even close. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My wife and I had a plan early on. In our firm, our lawyers only work on certain types of cases. Our products liability and dangerous drug lawyers only work on those cases. Same for car crashes, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, and insurance disputes. Our thinking is for these lawyers to focus on one area of the law and live it and breathe it. Power comes from knowledge. Many lawyers do everything, jack of all trades. Not us. And we don't charge an hourly rate. You only pay us if we win. If you want to hire us, it's easy. Dial Pound Law on your cell phone, pound 529, or visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer from the comfort of your own home. Let us get to work for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HOOP5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HOOP5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code HOOP5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
So you're thinking, great boat, 60 grand, but hey, we can have fun on the water. She's thinking, what, 3, maybe 4 months a year if we're lucky? You're thinking tow ropes and wakeboards. She's thinking granite countertops and undermount sinks. You're back to thinking about summers. But she's thinking about all year, every day, rain or shine. And she's also thinking 3 days and about half the cost. That's right, 3 days and half the cost. Your kitchen or bath can have a completely new look in just 3 days or less. Guaranteed. Top quality products and craftsmanship, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. And you and your family will enjoy it all year, day in and day out, with no tow ropes needed. Now, what are you thinking? Find out more about how your kitchen or bath can be the kitchen or bath of your dreams in just 3 days. Just visit 3daykitchen.com. That's 3daykitchen.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
KMOX is now on 104.1 FM, the same great station with even better sound.
On 0-2, the pitch to Santiago Espinal. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. 5 strikeouts for Graceffo.
Gordon Graceffo giving the Cardinals some innings and giving them a good outing, which is something that they needed from him, and he absolutely did that. And we're here on the Gashouse Gang. We've got Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji. As I mentioned, Scott Terry's going to be with us after 12:30, and that was important to get that from him. And for somebody who could factor in what they do moving forward, probably not early this season, but later on, this could end up being a very big deal for them if they can get an effective pitcher out of him. I think Claves might be muted at the moment.
I'll respond to that, and we'll get Claves figured out. Yeah, I really liked what we saw from Gordon Graceffo, and the fact his velo was up. He was touching about 99 when he was out there. That was good to see. I like him as a bullpen piece moving forward, and I know they're going to continue to start him in Memphis. It gets him the innings. It gets him the opportunity to work on all of his pitches. But he's been impressive in spring each of the last 2 seasons. And I'm not trying to be dismissive of anything else that the Cardinals have from a bullpen standpoint, but we know about the 3 guys at the back of the bullpen who have been very good, in Kyle Leahy, Phil Maton, and Ryan Helsley. when you get to the rest of the group, there's just not a lot of reliability in that group right now. And there's guys that I like, and there's guys who are going to get better. But if I'm thinking about all the different choices that you have, the idea that Gordon Graceffo can be in this bullpen and somebody who can be trusted, honestly, I trust him just as much as about anybody else at this point in time. And again, it was really good to see the velo tick up a bit. Now, it was a perfect situation because he's been starting in Memphis, so he was stretched out. So that's why he was able to go the 5 innings. If he's in the big league bullpen, he's not going to be stretched out. So those sort of longer days are not something that are going to be able to happen consistently. But I think Graceffo is going to be a part of this bullpen in a very big way this season.
He's part of the Memphis shuttle where you're going to need 18, 19 guys, maybe 20 for your staff, your pitching staff for the whole season, because you're going to have guys with sore arms, you're going to have injuries, you're going to have guys who aren't pitching well. And you need to find out what he is and where you're going to use him. And I agree with Matt. The bullpen might be a good spot for him. But I also think this. I think the more you see guys who can go more than that one prescribed inning, and he can do it 2 or 3 days a week, I think his value to baseball teams is going to go through the roof, because we have specialized this game so much here recently. The more you have versatility with your bullpen and your roster, I think you're going to be more effective. And maybe that's a level, and we can talk to Scott Terry about that because he teaches pitching to young people. Where are we headed with this? But I think in Graceffo's case, hey, if he can give you what you see out of Kyle Leahy now, I think, man, he moves to the front of the line as far as what your future looks like.
Yeah, you mentioned Leahy, Klebs, and that's the great point here. And for whatever reason, we're living in a world of baseball right now where there just are not a lot of relief pitchers who consistently go multiples. And right now, you think about yesterday's game in particular, the Cardinals were in a tough spot once Matthew Liberatore came out of the game, and they were stuck going to a Matt Swanson and a Riley O'Brien right away because they didn't know if they could use kind of their A bullpen because they didn't know what it was going to look like when you get to the 6th, 7th inning, and you're stuck using those guys in a game that's closer than when you want to use them. So if you can have 1 or 2 guys in the bullpen, and the Cardinals don't have outside of Leahy, but Leahy is also turned into a high leverage guy who sometimes is used in that 1A spot. Because Leahy's turned into sort of the 7th inning guy, this bullpen with Steven Matz in the rotation doesn't really have anybody that you can trust on to consistently go multiples. And I think that can be a great thing. I mention this all the time, and I know sometimes people get sick of me mentioning Milwaukee and what I saw when I was there. But the emergence of Josh Hader before he became that 9th inning closer was his ability to go get 5, 6, sometimes 7 outs on a night. And that was really important, and that was really impactful. And there would be nights where Corey Knebel and Jeremy Jeffress weren't available, so you would have Hader just coming in for the final out of the 7th and finishing that game off from there. That's a unicorn. That doesn't exist in today's game of baseball. And if you can start finding some relief pitchers who, again, can get you 6 to 8 outs once, twice a week, not only is that going to help you win that game, but, man, that's going to help you win other games because that's going to keep the bullpen much more rested.
Well, and you know what, Matt? That's the way it used to be, where you'd have a guy coming in and maybe he get you 5 outs, 6 outs in some cases. But they kind of got away from that, and we started having a specialized guy who can only come in for 1 inning. And maybe that works for some, but I think at the end of the day, it's something that you have to take a longer look at as far as the direction of where the game is going.
Yeah, and I think this is the bullpen in particular has provided a pretty big challenge for Ollie Marmol. And I know that's the first guy that everybody will go to when they want to blame the team for what's going on. If they're not winning, it's always the manager. And I have a philosophy on that. I think that we overvalue just how impactful managers are. Not that they don't matter to the outcome, because they do, but I think we think of them like, I don't know, a football head coach, an offensive coordinator kind of thing, when a lot of times most of the time it's about what the guys on the field do. You put them in the position, they got to go play, they have to pitch well, they have to hit, right? So I think we sort of overstate how much that matters. But when you don't know what your bullpen can do and guys you're putting in are not succeeding, you look like you don't know what you're doing. And fans will say, well, this guy's not managing the bullpen right. Is it that, or is it that players are just not pitching well? And I think he's actually done a pretty good job with that as well as can be expected, because he doesn't have a lot, at least hadn't had a lot that he could really count on.
Yeah, and I think that comes with development. The relief pitcher has become so important. And the only way you can get good at this is you have to have experience, and you have to go out and pitch. You're going to have your highs and your lows. And, when the lows take place, then you say, oh, I don't know if we can use this guy anymore.
Yeah.
Well, if you look around, who else is left? And I think that's the position that you're in now, where you're trying to figure out who can do what. So when you look down the road, whether it's this season and certainly next season, you know what you need. And now you need to start looking at who can get you there, whether it's internally or within somebody else's organization.
Real quick, John watching on YouTube wants to know what you think, Claibs, about where the Cardinals will be on Flag Day.
I think you should ask me on Flag Day.
I knew he was going to say that.
May 2nd doesn't count right now. I mean, you check with me on Flag Day and I'll give you a better assessment.
Matt, you want to tell us what you think?
I'll ask Claibs and then I'll tell you on Flag Day.
Hey, Matt Pauley, I guess we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate you, my friend. Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang. And guess what? Because we love you, we got a pair of tickets to see the Cardinals tomorrow that we are going to give away right now. We need caller number 7 to the contest line at 314-955-1120. 314-955-1120. Pair of Cardinals tickets we're giving away right now. You'd see them tomorrow afternoon. They play at 1:15. It is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600 or on the website bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Right now, 64 degrees and cloudy in St. Louis. We're going to have a high of 65 today, maybe a little rain overnight. The weather brought to you by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. PennMutual.com/STL. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
Hi, my name is Christina Straight, the owner of Straight Realty, and I'm asking you, what do you want in a realtor? Do you want experience? I've been a broker for over 21 years. Do you want to know how much I've sold? I've sold over $500 million, yes, $1 billion with a B, in sales. Do you want value? I now list properties for only 2%. So if you're looking for all these things and want the best, then call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and unenforceable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Tonight, the Cards, the Mets. Ameren Total Access 620. Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hi, I'm Dr. Colleen Bosler, and I'd like to introduce our newest associate, Dr. Adam Voss. Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Voss, the newest addition to the Audiology Center. I'm very excited to join this amazing team. I'm a St. Louis native, graduated from Washington University School of Medicine, and I'm passionate about hearing healthcare and connecting people back to the things that matter to them most: family, friends, music, or even their favorite British TV drama. At the Audiology Center, we care for our patients like our own family. If you ever need anything, come on by or call us and we will make sure to address questions or issues same day. My ultimate goal as your audiologist is to listen to your individual needs and guide you on your journey to improved hearing. There are a lot of audiologists in town, but only one Audiology Center. We might not know how to change a tire, but we know a thing or two about audiology. And I want our current and future patients to know that you can trust us with your hearing healthcare needs.
Thanks, Dr. Voss. The Audiology Center, 3 locations. Come visit us at theaudiologycenterstl.com for more information.
Now, the John Rooney Conversation on KMOX, sponsored by Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you're a Missourian, we're for you.
Normally, we reserve this time to speak with one of the broadcasters of St. Louis Cardinals baseball on KMOX, John Rooney. He's got the day off today, however. But I've got Mike Claiborne, who's going to be on the call of the game tonight with Ricky Horton. And joining us at the moment is former Cardinals pitcher and ambassador of amateur baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals. Scott Terry is with us on KMOX. How you doing, Scott?
You know what? I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm honored to pinch hit, I guess we could call it, or maybe come in relief for John.
Yeah, you know what? It's relief. I think that's what it is.
There you go. Whitey used to say, come early and see John Tudor, come late and see Scott Terry.
Scott, you were a good hitter too, though. Let's not take away from that. I mean, I know you made a living as a pitcher, but you were one of those guys who could do a little bit of everything. And I think that's one of the reasons why you had such a good career.
Claibs, I actually got a chance to pinch hit a couple of times. And
I remember
there was a game we had in Philly where I pitched 2 or 3 innings, and Red was managing at the time. And I came in. He said, Scott, you're done pitching, but I want you to go ahead and hit. And I said, okay. So that I don't know if that was mean he had seen enough of my pitching and wanted to see if I could do anything hitting or not. But, because we, of course, didn't have the DH. So even though I was pulled from the game, I went ahead and got that at bat.
Scott, how well do you remember both of your home runs?
Shoot, I don't know that April 29th to 70 degrees, 5th inning against the San Francisco Giants, Joe Price on the mound, men on first and third, a full count. Other than that, I can't remember a thing.
So not well? Yeah. Okay.
Not at all. What the bad thing about those home runs were is I hit them early enough in the game where I had to go back out and pitch. And, I was shaking. I'd get out on the mound and I was shaking. And it's like, oh, did I just do what I just did? And it was so much fun and exhilarating. And now I got to calm down and go out there and try and get somebody out.
Hey, Scott, you've been in the game for a number of years, and we were talking before you came on about pitching, especially the bullpen, in its direction. There was a time pitchers like yourself would get 5, maybe 6 outs. Now it comes down to maybe having that 1 inning where he's going to face certain people in the order. You're still involved in pitching. So where are we headed with what the bullpens are going to look like in the future? Are we going to have the guys who just give you the one inning? Or are we going to still continue to have guys who are going to give you maybe the 5 outs, or maybe be able to pitch back-to-back days with more than just an inning?
Yeah, that's a good question, Claibs, because we've seen it definitely change over time. I had 8 career saves, and I would probably say that maybe 3 or 4 of those were actually 3-inning saves. So those kind of guys aren't around as much as they used to be, and they haven't asked people to do that. Now, is it because they're not capable, or why is it that they can't go more than 1 inning? And I have an interesting take on pitching because, now that they do they don't do signs anymore. They do all the scouting in advance. They break all these things down because they have all these formulas and information. I don't know if guys know how to pitch themselves more than they just throw what is called. And so I think it would be to their advantage if they could learn how to pitch, learn how to set up a hitter, learn how to change speeds. Velocity is important, velocity allows you to get away with mistakes, but if you don't have it, you can still pitch. If you've got like a good changeup, I had a good changeup, so my changeup made my fastball faster because now the hitter has to differentiate between the speeds. So it's interesting in my mind. Is it that they can only go one inning, or is it that they're guys make mistakes and hitters hit mistakes? Guys throw wrong pitches in certain counts. Hitters hit those. So I'm just wondering from my perspective, and I don't have all the information, how much the craft of pitching is being taught, because I think that's important for a pitcher.
Well,
to go one step further, it's almost like we've taken that leadership role or that aspect out of the catcher's hands, because he gets a lot of things from the dugout as well.
Hands. And the pitcher's hands as well. So you tell me what to throw, and now I throw it. How committed am I to throwing that? Do I know the location I want to throw it in? Do I know what that pitch is going to set up for the next pitch? There's a lot of things in that, and I watched John Tudor for years pitch against right-handers with a fastball and a changeup, and left-handers with a fastball and a curveball. So you got a 50-50 shot to figure out what he's going to do, and I saw him dominate. So the craftiness of a pitcher, the setup of the pitches, the location of the pitches, all of that matters. So when you're talking about a guy not being successful, it's going to be a combination of all of it more than likely.
Well, I'm going to take this a step further, Scott Terry. Baseball is quite a bit different than when you played in the late 80s, early 90s in terms of bullpen roles and how they're defined. And we know that from a lot of pitchers, they like to know if they're the 7th or 8th inning person or if they're the 9th inning person. And we know that there are contract implications for guys who get saves whenever they're negotiating, or certain numbers will help them out in those negotiations. Is there something you saved some games? You had quite a few of those. Is there really, or how much of a difference is there psychologically in closing out a game as opposed to coming in the 7th inning with, runners in scoring position and arguably the biggest moment of the game?
I don't know if it's a psychological difference as much as it is you can't make a mistake if you're in a save situation. 9 times out of 10, it's going to cost you a ball game or it's going to tie the ball game. If you're in the 7th inning, you don't look at that inning as if I make a mistake, we're going to lose. But for me, pitching was pitching, whether I started, whether I came in the middle, or whether I closed. I always had the same approach: work fast, throw strikes, change speeds. And so when I went about pitching, I always in my mind had a book on the hitters, because I kept my own book and I had an approach that I wanted to have to each hitter. If I didn't know the hitter, then I still had an approach I wanted to take that would suit me, that would pitch to my strengths so that I could be the best I could be in that day, in that situation. But yes, there's more pressure at the end of the game, but pressure is also self-induced. I can mentally tell myself that I need to get 3 outs, and I can do that whether it's the 1st inning or the 7th inning or the 9th inning.
So then you don't, because a lot of times people who might be a little younger and have grown up watching baseball in the last 10 to 20 years will say, use Ryan Helsley in the 7th inning if it is the most important of the game, inning of the game, because you've got 3, 4, and 5 up, and maybe you've got runners on base when you bring him in. I don't know if you want to bring him in clean inning or what, but do you think it does actually matter that if you're Helsley, you need to pitch the 9th or later as opposed to coming in the 7th inning, because that's what he's prepared for?
Yes, I think it's important that he fill that role, and I think that that's very important. That's when he pitches, and that's the only time he pitches. When I was here, we had Todd Worrell. We had Lee Smith. So we had guys at the end that knew they were going to pitch at the end, that you wanted to be in the game at the end, and you wanted them to have those innings and have those situations because you knew that's what they were geared for. That's what they were mentally prepared for. So I think it's very important that Ryan Helsley only pitch the 9th inning if that's possible. Can he go an extra third of an inning? Well, you would hope that he could on a given day, but obviously you don't want to do it too many days. You're hoping that setup guy can get yourself to the closer and let him have a clean inning. But I think that role, 5 good starters are great. A number 1 starter is great. Who's the most important pitcher on your staff? A lot of people will tell you it's that closer because we need that guy to nail down that win.
And you're going to see your closer more. You're going to see your starter. I mean, he's
Absolutely.
going to pitch every 5th day. And in this situation, you're going to have a closer that's going to probably give you at least 3 days out of the week where you're going to need him if you're a good team where you're in that position to close out a game.
Yeah, absolutely. He is very valuable in that sense. And you know, starters are great. Starters got to give you a chance to win. Starting is very important in Major League Baseball. The number of innings that they can cover is very important. You know, boy, back in the 90s, when you look at the Atlanta Braves and the rotation they had, they were getting 1,000 innings out of just their starting rotation. That means they had 5 guys all throwing 200 innings plus. That is irreplaceable, but you still have to have somebody close it out.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to play devil's advocate on that and ask you if it is, I mean, do you really think it would be more important if the closer's throwing 66 innings as opposed to a starter who's going to give you 170, 180 or more?
Yeah, that's where it's kind of, you know, give or take. I mean, obviously the closer can't pitch except in a closing situation where you have a chance to win. How valuable is that starter? Well, he's got to get you to that position. How valuable is that middle guy or the setup guy? Everybody has to have a hand and makes a contribution to get you into that situation where you have a chance to win a game. That's why I've always valued, and I think our era of baseball valued every single game. You want to win every single game. You're going to try as best you can to give yourself your best opportunity to win every game. Because if you get down to that last week and you're out of, you know, you're a game and a half out, well, what happened to that 7-game losing streak that you had in April or that you had in May? Did that make a difference? Absolutely, it made a difference. So to me, every game has value, and every time you got a chance to win, because it's not easy to win in this game. It really isn't. Then you got to try as best you can to get that win.
We've got Scott Terry with us, former Cardinals pitcher, and currently he is the ambassador for amateur baseball for the Cardinals. And lots of kids clinics are coming up here, and it is, you know, open to boys and girls ages 7 to 13. You want to tell us about what we have coming up here soon?
Yeah, we'll kick it off in June and we'll go through July. And this is something we've been doing for, I want to say 22 years. I'm not real perfect on 20, but over 20 years. And it is for kids ages 7 to 13, boys and girls. Now, the one thing we will do this year is we've added 2 softball clinics for the girls specifically. So we've upped our clinic total to 17, and then we'll have 15 baseball clinics. So we do 5 stations. We base run, we hit, we throw, we catch ground balls, we catch fly balls. Those are the fundamentals of baseball. And we're going to get you there, and we're going to have you go through 5 rotations, one of those stations each, and get a break. You get a goodie bag. You got ticket vouchers. You got a hat. We've got a Cardinal player that come to all the local clinics, and then the regional clinics. We usually have an alumni of significance there. Not that my guys aren't significant, but I always tell the kids when we start a clinic, I said, now you're not going to recognize any of us because we played way back in the 1900s. And so I get a little shuffle from them. But we do have a couple of guys, you know, that played in the 2000s. But our guys do a great job. But a guy like Brian Jordan is going to be at one of our regional ones. David Eckstein will be at a regional one. Tom Hickey's going to be with us when we go out to Jeff City. All of our local ones, you know, we've got Danny Cox, we've got Kyle McClellan, we got Lonnie Macklin, we've got Neil Fiala, we've got Greg Matthews, Mike Crudell, Pat Perry. We've got a lot of guys that live in the area, that have stayed in the area, that are great to be with us and to do these clinics, and they do a great job.
And Scott, I know you talked about the fundamentals. So for those parents who want you to see their kids curveball, they can leave that at home, I presume.
They can leave that at home because we do a throwing station. And of course, a pitcher is a thrower to a certain degree, but he's just a little more finely tuned. But, you know, we talk about stuff like that. We try to get these kids to understand that when you go to that throwing station, we're going to show you how to throw a 4-seam throw, how to be accurate, the arm slot that you want to use, which gives you the most strength and the less likelihood of hurting yourself. We don't teach pitching grips. We don't really talk about pitching except to say, don't do this too soon. Same way with fielding ground balls. A lot of kids are taught by coaches to do what they call alligator, and they have that bare hand above the glove. And we're going to sit there and tell you, no, don't do that, because if it hits you right on the end of that finger, you're done for the season. So just the stuff that is really strong advice and really things that need to be taught from a fundamental perspective, because if you're not good fundamentally, it's very difficult to excel at this game.
Just real quick before we say goodbye here, Scott, just advice to a parent who might be listening about, you mentioned don't do this too early. For example, what is this? What is something that parents should not have their pitchers doing too early or players doing?
Well, it'll always be controversial with somebody like me, or even a lot of the guys that are currently pitching in the big leagues. They're going to tell you to be very careful how much you throw during the season. We've got kids, that are 8, 9, 10 years old that are now playing up to 50, 55, 60 games a year. They carry a 12-man, 13-man roster, and these kids are pitching every weekend, and they're pitching 80, 90, sometimes 100 pitches. The body is not geared for that. The body can't handle that workload. We've got guys at the major league level that can't handle that workload. So number one is don't throw too much. Don't play the game year round. We got them playing in the spring. We got them playing in the fall. And then some of them work out all winter long. So the idea of baseball and the significance of what it is needs to be kept at a minimal, and it needs to be seasonal, because guys are not going to be able to handle that workload. A lot of them get burnt out. The number one surgery in the United States, Chris, is Tommy John for 13. And that is just a scary thing to understand and to recognize. And the sad thing about it is that coach is trying to win every tournament, and he is sacrificing an arm, or he is sacrificing a kid. People aren't afraid of Tommy John because people come back from Tommy John. But I will tell you, that's a guy that's fully mature.
Yep.
That's a guy that's already strong. And so he's going to come back. Will a kid? No, he'll never be the same. So stuff like that. And then, of course, we're always talking about breaking balls. Learn to throw a fastball first, learn to command a fastball, then go to a changeup, learn to pitch off speed, something that looks just like a fastball that a hitter can't recognize. There's a guy that was in Chicago for years. And, I mentioned John Tudor earlier, that was just fastball changeup. Trevor Hoffman, fastball changeup. The guy, Hendrickson, is that his name? Hendricks used to be with the Cubs.
Kyle Hendricks. Kyle,
that just wears us out, and his best fastball is 87. So if you can learn fastball changeup and have a good difference in speed, you're going to be successful as a pitcher. I don't care what level you're at, whether you're 10 or whether you're 16 or whether you're 23, because the differentiation between those two speeds and the same rotation on the ball is going to give you some success.
All right, Scott Terry, we appreciate the conversation. Again, registration is open now for the Cardinals Kids Clinics, cardinals.com/clinics, and you can get all the information, find out what you need to know, how much it costs, all that stuff. Cardinals.com/clinics. Scott Terry, awesome to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and hope those kids can come out. And by the way, those girls' clinics are on June 25th and July 24th, but the whole schedule is on stlouiscardinals.com/clinics.
That is Scott Terry. This is the Gashouse Gang, Mike Claiborne and Chris Ranji, 104.1 FM KMOX.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're here for all of life's wins. Like when you get a new car, or new boat, or new driver, or when your son moves out, but your mom moves in, or you find out you're expecting again, or when one rental property turns into 2, then 20, or you realize they're all in Tornado Alley. Life is full of life events, so call your Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance agent or visit mofbinsurance.com to find an agent near you, and we'll make sure you have the right coverage for each of life's wins.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for the people of Missouri, in good times and in bad. We're from Missouri families and Missouri communities. We're for giving back to those communities and lifting people up. And when Missouri weather rips through our state, we're for helping put back the pieces. We're for brighter days and new tomorrows. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you live in Missouri, we're for you.
When you get hurt, you don't want to end up on the injured list. You want to get back in the game, stronger than ever. At Morgan & Morgan, we're the home run hitters you need. Morgan & Morgan, proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Spring into a new home with amazing savings at TR Hughes. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with TR Hughes Homes, and we are currently offering half off up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs on brand new to-be-built homes at select TR Hughes communities. That's right, half up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs. Visit trhughes.com for details.
The choice of a home builder is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
However, you really should visit trhughes.com.
This is Mason Wynn of the Cards. Community America asked me to tell you what it feels like on Profit Payout Day, when our members get a portion of the profits. I'm thinking it probably feels like opening day. Exciting, new, or even better. I bet it feels like playing the star shortstop who turns a game-winning double play. And the fans go wild. They ask for selfies with you and autographs. You get a lifetime supply of free stadium hot dogs. Yep, that's basically what it feels like when you get your profit payout. Community America Credit Union. Invested in you.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. So, I wanted to write a thank you note for every dollar Missouri Lottery players have given to Missouri and education. But that would be 8.4 billion notes. So to save a little time and a whole lot of paper, here's just one. Dear every single lottery player in Missouri, thank you for helping us give $8.4 billion to Missouri and education. Sorry, my trumpet's in the shop. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050, and have a Banner day.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's a literal must-win tonight. Game 6, Blues and Jets at Enterprise Center. Are you nervous, Claibs?
Yeah. It's game 6s and 7s are always fun. You have one team that's looking to close out. You have another team that's trying to fight for another day. And the way this series has gone, the home ice has been the key. And at some point, maybe it gives, and hopefully it gives in game 7 if you're a Blues fan. But tonight, they obviously have to go out and do their job. And I don't know if we'll see 7 goals scored tonight by the Blues. But, as long as they have one more than the Winnipeg Jets, I'm good with that.
I'm nervous too, man. I love a game 6. It might be my favorite just because of the uncertainty of not knowing if the series goes on or not. So tonight, Blues have to win. It is a literal must win. Cardinals are at home against the New York Mets. Mike Claiborne, you're going to be on the call tonight with Ricky Horton. John Rooney is off. And then you've got Live at Lowe's at the Bullock with Stephen Piscotty afterwards.
It's going to be a long but rewarding day.
Yes.
A Cardinal win and a Blues win, and we'll talk about some baseball with Stephen Piscotty after the game. So I have a full plate. I'm looking forward to it.
6:20 pregame on KMOX with Matt Pauley. First pitch at 7:15. Claibs and Ricky on the call. Then go across the street to the Bullock, live at Lowe's. Stephen Piscotty will be his guest. Good to talk to you, Claibs. We'll see you later.
All right. We'll see you soon. Take care.
That's Mike Claiborne. I'm Chris Ranji. Coming up next, it is the Dave Glover Show. The Gashouse Gang, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.